Hello, welcome back. Today we're gonna set up a retrofit, and for this we're gonna use these animal APIs here. You can access this by this address here. You can just copy paste. I will leave in the description too, and you can use my API key here, or you can just log in your account by Google. It's 2 seconds here. Just log with Google and you can get your own API key here. I recommend this one because I will leave this for you to use if you want. But if people are using and make requests, this is limit because my account is free. It's a live demo. It's a free account. It's safer if you use your own API key. So you're gonna create an app here. You can search for animals names. You can, for example, you can search for beer here, and this will return for her the name of the beer, taxonomy, locations where this beer can be found, and characteristics. Okay, this API return for us up to 10 results matching the input that you're searching for. Basically, this is what we're gonna do in this class. We're gonna set up the retrofit, and the next class we're gonna to call this in fact. Let's start by adding library here, because in the last class I was about to use other API, but I think it's better if you use this one here. Let's add the okHttp here. Just copy and paste here. Don't see me typing this one. We scroll up, HTTP log interceptor, and we have to add this version here. The version is the 521, and now you can just call this in your build reader here and condition and wait this for sync. While this is syncing, what you're gonna do now, let's create the data class so you can map all these objects here. Everything we need, the sync is done. We can create now our data class. We can map all the fields from the object response that we need. Let me close these things that I won't need now. Let's close everything. And here we're gonna create a new package called, let's call this model. And here in your model, you can create a new data class called data class, and we can call this animal. Okay. So once again, add. Okay, let's think what we're gonna need from this response from the API. We need a name, val name like this. It will be string. We want the locations, val locations like this. The location will be a list of string, and can be null. Okay, now we're gonna take characters from the taxonomy like this. The taxonomy, we're gonna create data class for these two because these have characters inside, and characteristics like this will be characteristics. Okay, so now I have to create these two types here because these are objects inside this object here. Let's create this one first. Here we create a data class called taxonomy, and here we're gonna just export the val scientific name, and it will return a string for us. And of course you have to call serializable this, but it's kingdom here. It's not kingdom, is scientific name. Like, okay, this serialized name here is to match the JSON keys with Kotlin friendly names. You can just call this, and the Kotlin will search for this name here on, or for example in the taxonomy, this scientific name here. You can see you have to call the exact name here. Now you just know how to use the taxonomy here. You can see the object is the why you create a new data class, and we use this serialized name because the name here is different than the name we type in here. If you just use kingdom plus class, you don't need to use the serialized name here. You can just call this directly because it's the same name. Now let's create the another one here. Let's get data class, characteristics. You have the, let's have the diet here, lifespan, wow, lifespan. You be string, can be nullable. You can go the h2, the high, wow, high, you be string. I think it should be cool here. We can call the biggest sphere, biggest stretch actually. Wow, biggest stretch, you be string, can be null. Like this, and This one is the same case, serialized name. And here we can just say biggest trash. Biggest close the data class here. And we have these two ones here, the most integer feature, and we have his logo here. Okay, now we can create our interface for us. Let's create a new package here. I have this model. Let's create a new package. Let's call this API. And here in this package, we can create our interface. This is the interface. We can call this the animal API. And here, really simple. We start to set up our retrofit here. You can create a suspense fund here. You can call this get animal, and here we are where you can create the setup. For the query, or by means what you're searching for, in a simple way, we add this query here. This query is the value where you're looking for. Let me show you. The query is basically the search name that we put here. For hers is this name here. Okay, very simple. You just use name here. This will be our animal name, and it will be a string for our app, and this will return list animal. Okay, one more thing, we have to put this get here. We'll complete URL or address here. For us this is the URL. You need to pass these v1 animals here. Okay, this will be our base URL. You can pass these v1 animals here and then name this one. And whenever you have this kind of address, this is how you set up things. You have the base, you have the complement address here, and you have the query here. That can be many of them. You can just keep adding here, and this should be working fine. So let's create object now. For this object, we can create, let's call this Retrofit Client. And here we have our actual setup for Retrofit, where you're going to make the calls, use your base URL, you use your API key. We can just, let's say, privilege constval like this, base URL like this, and here we can just pass our base URL. And here we use our address. Let's use this way. We can have our constval, and here we can use your API key here. It's important to avoid to using hard coding API keys like this. You should not do this in your production project like this. It's better to store them in a local proprietary and access it by build config. We can pass this here, but if you're working for, don't do this. For now, we can create our client here. Privilege, well, okay, okHttpClient, okHttpClient. We have by lazy, and here we can start our configuration. The first thing I want to do here is create an interceptor. Here you can see what is happening. Wow, let's call this log interceptor, activity log interceptor like this, and here we can just create, let's say, level is equal http interceptor level body. You can see the request and responses logs if you use this way. Now we just have okay http builder. Now here let's add interceptor, and here we can say chain, and here we can, let's create a val here, call request, change request new builder. You can add the header xAPI for our API key, and we can just say build here, and here we can say chain proceed and pass the request. This is perfect. This interceptor here adds the API key header to every request that we have. Here you can add the interceptor you create. We add this for debugging. We pass this interceptor that we just create, and we can just say build here. Okay, now we have to create two retrofit instance using our custom HttpClient here that we just created. For this, simple. Let's just create a privilege val call retrofit, and use retrofit for us, and lazy. And here we can just say retrofit builder, and then we can just pass our base URL for here, We can paste the client, the convert factory, and we can say just future. Okay, just fix this. Okay, and this convert the factory, this is for convert the response to our model. This is basically taking this response from the API that we take a look of and using in your model here. We have this SerializedName, added, and everything you use here. You can see this is all private, and now we just have to create a public proprietary to access this animal service here. Let's create just a val. Let's call this animal API. This will return animal API like this. Let's use this by lazy for now. By lazy, and here we just literally say retrofit.create, and we just pass here animal class, animal API class.java. It's basically this for the retrofit. This is how you can create this setup, add your API key here, and the basic. If you learn how to do this here or learn new or this help you anyway, be subscribed to the channel, and we can now create our repository. Here we can just create our repository. This repository will be a class. Let's call this animal repository. Okay, in this class we can just expect here our animal API. Let's call this animal API, expect the animal API, and let's create a suspense fun here. Suspense fun. Let's call this search fun. Search animal, for example. Animal, we will expect the animal name, will be string, and the response will be a result, actually, a result of a list of animals. Here we can just import this one. Here's search, and here we return or run catching this, and we just call our API animal bell in animal API. Let's call this as well. Animal API catch animal, and here we pass our animal name. Animal name is equals animal name. Use suspense fun here because of the coroutines. We have a playlist about this too. For the retrofit setup, this is this simple. You're gonna use this in the next class where you're going to integrate with intent state and view model. See you there.